welcome to Get Fruitful Conversations. I'm your host, Anwyn Cooper, and if you're interested in growing a passion-fueled, purpose-driven enterprise and believe that business can be a force for greater good, then this is the podcast for you. Each episode, I'll be talking with inspiring entrepreneurs and inviting them to share how they're pioneering new ways of working to create more prosperity and positive impact for people and the planet. We'll be bringing you fresh insight and practical actions to generate more income and impact through your own business. Our purpose is to give you new perspectives on how to align your vision to a bigger mission in a way that fulfills your personal potential while also generating a longer lasting legacy and more value for all. So thanks for tuning in. I'm delighted you're here to listen. Now let's get fruitful with today's conversation.
I was following a passion in terms of travel, and I was doing something that I felt was going to make a difference because it was more ethical travel, and so that kind of was the first part of that story and that stage, which was 10-ish years ago. I guess I didn't really know what I was doing in terms of running a business, and I was sort of learning it as I went along. And it just interestingly, actually, I'll just share on the whole kind of ethical. It was called Ethical Adventures, the first business that I had, and I remember speaking to someone about what is ethical. It was actually a chap called Harold Goodwin, who's very well known in the world of responsible tourism. And he said, if you ask most people in Britain what ethical meant, it would probably be something to do with animals. And I thought, well, I haven't even thought about that. So it's quite interesting. So there's my whole kind of thing was more about supporting people in developing economies and in countries, and that was kind of the big focus for me. So that was almost, in a way, that was kind of my first stumbling block, because it was like, oh, now I've got this sort of really contentious kind of business, and anyway, so I was just kind of going through that whole kind of journey in terms of discovering what business for good actually really meant to me. And I suppose that's one of the things that actually it can be so many things.
Yeah,
it can be linked to social impact or environmental impact. It can be around animal welfare. It can, and then over the last few years, I've really tapped into and learned more about the UN Global Goals, which many people in this group will already know about because I've talked about them. And they there's 17 global goals. That is right, isn't it?
Yeah,
I just had a moment there. And they cover all manner of things that kind of roughly around social improvement, environmental improvement, and economic improvement. So yes.
Yeah, it's a wide-ranging topic, and like you say, it means different things to different people.
Yes, it does. And I suppose in terms of my own journey, and I guess in terms of what I would encourage others to do, is about really tapping into the bit that it resonates most with you, because there are so many of these different causes and so many world problems that we can be working with and helping, that it's kind of focusing in on the thing that lights you up the most.
Yeah, I like that idea of the thing that is most personal, I suppose, or links to your passion. Back to the Ikigai idea. It's kind of where does your personal passion align to an issue in the wider world, so that you can make a contribution.
Yeah, exactly, which I guess is where, for me, the travel aspect kind of links in, because I've always had that passion there. And like, if I was ever picking a charity to work with, generally speaking, I'm pulled towards things that are to do with development in developing countries, and then also around entrepreneurship, which I guess links to why I started this group as well. and seeing how kind of raising people up in the world of entrepreneurship, and in terms of business for good, it's about, I suppose, not just working with those large organizations, it's about working with people, solopreneurs, and people that are very much at the beginning of their journey, because often people will have this sort of real desire to do something, but for whatever reason they get stuck along the way, or they may be working in a big business, and just it's that sort of thing of taking that leap into running your own business. And it could be that that business could be incredibly rewarding for that person, but it's also something that can have a really positive impact on the world. And so I feel like it's really important that entrepreneurship is something that people have support with, because it's not just about people who are successful business people and that know business. It's about people that are driven by a desire to do something that they love with something that they feel can make a difference.
Yeah, so tell me a bit more about why you do what you do. You kind of touched on it there, started to talk about it, but what is your big vision and your purpose and your passion?
It links in with entrepreneurship and helping and supporting people in terms of business growth, and it links in with leadership and supporting people in raising up more, I was going to say more women in leadership. I suppose I mean more about embracing more feminine qualities of leadership. And so I've now, with what I'm doing, is I'm combining my passion of travel. So I'm moving back into that world, from running my own business within that, and then the last few years sort of going through this process of transformation and discovery, and running this group and running my entrepreneur events. So sort of veering more back into focusing really on the travel sector, because I'm passionate about it, and then working specifically with women, which surprised me in the sense that I've always been interested in working with, not being gender specific. However, in the travel sector, it's very, well, probably in lots of sectors, but there is a divide between, there's a big divide between women working in travel and women in leadership. So there's an imbalance where you've got lots of women working in the industry, but most of the leaders are men. So it's, I guess what I'm looking at now is helping to redress that balance and raise up more women in leadership, and inspire more feminine qualities within leadership. So around being more compassionate and kind of soft power. Yes, so that kind of links in with the sort of ikigai of my passion being around travel, my purpose being around empowering leadership, and then also linking with my natural talents, which are around connecting people and bringing people together. And I guess in terms of my own journey and story, running a travel agency, which is basically what I was doing, was great in terms of connecting people to great experiences. And however, there was a lot of other aspects of it which were not my natural talent. So yeah, it's and also running the entrepreneur events that I've done through this group, I've really loved. I've loved bringing speakers that I've found really inspiring to come and speak at the different events and on my Facebook Lives as well. And I want to do more of that as well, specifically for women travel leaders.
Yeah, no, it sounds really exciting. And like you say, it's a great sort of combination of using your past experience and your passion and talents, but also seeing a need in your industry for change.
Yes.
So tell me a bit more about who the people are that you're looking to work with through Women Travel Leaders. Who are the people that you want to serve?
Good question. It's women that are at the sort of top level in travel, in leadership positions.
Guess the name is a bit of a clue.
Yeah. Yes. Although, I mean, I think another aspect of it, and although we're not, is around, generally speaking, the women that we're working with are work in experiential travel. So, you know, it's not so much about, although we wouldn't necessarily say no, go away, but you know, women say in corporate travel or however, I feel like the more we of a mix we can have, the better. So however, the kind of focus is really on experiential, if that makes sense to people.
Yeah.
So it's around kind of adventure, which is very much personal to me. And in terms of travel and why I was in it in the first place, I suppose, was around, I believe that travel is incredibly good for opening people's minds. And then bringing those stories back that can then educate and inspire their families or friends or other people that they meet, which is something that you get much more from an experience, like where you've had a conversation with someone in a community of a place that you're visiting, or on your journey, whether it's on the train or whatever it is, meeting people and encounters that you have on the way that can be really meaningful. So I suppose it's about people having more meaningful travel experiences. And if I'm working with women in leadership in that context, then my kind of thing is that I'm helping to support those women, to support that experience of more people having more transformational travel experiences.
Yeah.
Which then has the ripple effect of that sort of going out into the communities of the places that people have visited, and the communities of people back at home once they've come back. And yeah, that's my kind of vision, I suppose.
Yeah, so lots of people can be impacted in different ways, but
yes,
initially you're looking to work with women in leadership roles in the travel industry.
Yes.
So what is it that you're looking to do with them exactly? What is the value that you're offering, or the good that you want to come out of that work? We talk about the Gandhi quote, don't we? Be the change you want to see in the world. What is the change that you want to see and help bring about?
So for the women that are coming into our groups, I think, again, from my own journey, when you can feel lost, as I did, lost in the world of entrepreneurship, and you don't really have anyone to speak to, or you kind of do, but like, unless you know them, and when you don't know all the different people to speak to, it can feel very daunting, and you might not know what questions to ask or who to ask. And with what we're doing now is bringing together this supportive community, of a trusted community, because it's all on application and invitation only. So you're automatically then, once you're in, you're part of a community where you can feel that you can ask all these different, whatever questions that you have, and have that support from other people that are like-minded. And whereas if you didn't have that, you'd just be stuck, or you wouldn't be able to necessarily move forward and make the difference and the positive difference that you want to through the business that you have. I say through the business that you have, it, you might be working in a leadership position within a corporate. So again, it's sort of, for those people, yes, they've got the team and they've got a company that they're working with. However, that doesn't necessarily support them personally. So with what we've created, it's that community of like-minded people where they can share real life experiences and challenges, to help them make decisions more quickly, and make decisions in the first place that could then have a knock-on effect in terms of helping them move forward with their business and all within their own personal lives.
Yeah.
And then there's that aspect of bringing the community together, and then we're also running group coaching and mastermind sessions, which I've been doing myself for the last couple of years. And that idea is that we've got basically weekly calls where we bring together up to around 20 women, and it's like a kind of a training session, but also bringing together any, again, real life challenges. So you're hearing the support from other people in the group, and you're then able to get that education or inspiration to go and make changes in your own life. And then we've got an elite group offering, which is for a maximum of 5 leaders, and they're curated groups. So that's just about me and Janine, my business partner, going out and bringing together the right sort of people who have similar challenges and similar sized businesses or in similar roles, and but equally a little bit of a mix where some are going to be at a more senior level or have already experienced different things, and the whole point is that it's that collective of experience that means that they're not just working on their own, they've got that shared experience of everyone in that room. That means they can then go on and make more positive changes in their own lives and their business. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, it sounds great. So it sounds like it's all about really giving people support to develop themselves and their businesses through coaching, masterminding, and building a community, really, where people can give back to the community, but also gain learning and development.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, in the long term, it would be great to support, and this is an interesting point from a kind of business perspective, and I've been totally guilty of this, where, you know, often as someone who's motivated by business as a force for good, we often want to help the people that we see as really needing the help, people that at the beginning of their journey, or and often therefore don't have any money, and so it's kind of that they really need the help. But if you at the beginning of your journey are also working with, you know, it doesn't move anywhere. But if you can support the people at the top of their game, as it were, and then that can ripple down and ripple through to then, once, you know, we've got more profit coming through, it means that we've got more money, therefore, to be able to support people that are at the beginning of their journeys. So that's something that I would like to see kind of in the longer term. Women in leadership in, say, rural communities where they don't have necessarily access to this sort of the thing that the kind of thing that we're doing. I would love to be able to support those sort of women as well.
That's great that you've got that long-term plan for how you see that could develop.
Yes.
Yeah. So how are you building your audience and building your community at the moment? Obviously it's quite early stages for you, but how are you getting the word out there at the moment and spreading your message?
So my business partner Janine Cohen, who's currently she's from the States, worked for a big adventure travel business out there, and she's got a very strong pool of connections from her own experience of 20 years working in the travel industry. And then I've got a lot of my own connections and contacts from when I was working in the industry as well. So we're reaching out to, or have been reaching out to, people that we've worked with in the past that we already know. We may have been on trips with them, or worked with them as suppliers. And so now we're inviting them and bringing them into the fold. And they've been absolutely brilliant so far at recommending us and reaching out to their own communities as well, and people that they've worked with. So I guess one would call that referral. So yeah, they're referring other new people to us as well.
That's great that they're supporting you.
Yes, it is. Yeah, cool. So yeah, that's what we're doing at the moment.
You're working on a new website, aren't you?
We are working on a new website, which is we've had some great input from a very good marketing expert, none other than Anwin.
So when are you going to be getting that live, do you think?
Good question. I'm hoping very, very soon. Where are we now? We're nearly at the end of March, so in the next few weeks.
Yeah, well,
So,
you have to post it here on the group so that people can check it out once it's ready to look at.
Yeah, absolutely, I will do. Well, we've just had some really cool logos done and some design work, which is looking really nice. So that's exciting, and so it's all coming together now. But it's interesting, actually, just talking about website and thinking about business. And one of the things that I've often heard with people, you know, feeling like, oh, we need to get this website, we need the website before we can move forward with anything. And yes, it would be great if we could all do that. However, we've already built up, we've already got over 60 members in our community.
Amazing. And still no website.
Yet. So it just shows what you can do without having all of that sort of stuff. So
it's the power of your network, really.
Yeah.
And just by reaching out to people, having one-to-one conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And being there for them when they need it. I mean, that was, you know, credit to Janine with what she did kind of at the beginning of the pandemic last year, was bringing together, reaching out to people that she knew, and setting up this sort of weekly meeting for them, helping people in a really difficult and challenging time, and that she wasn't charging anything for that. And I then joined forces with her back in the summer last year, and we continue to offer that service without any charge. And it was only in January that we soft launched it with a membership fee. So yeah, just in terms of like model and how that works, you know, being able to offer something without charging it initially is a great way of building trust as well.
And gives you the opportunity to test it out and get feedback as well.
Yeah. So that's been good.
Well, watch this space. We look forward to seeing the website when it's ready to share, and obviously you're busy working on that at the moment, building the membership up, and starting to run your mastermind groups and coaching sessions. And you've talked a little bit about your aspiration for the future to be able to work with more emerging leaders as well as the more established ones. But what else do you want to put out there as something that's in your future plan? What are your kind of next steps that you're working towards after you've got this initial sort of launch phase underway?
Well, that's a good question. The other thing that we want to do, which links in with one of the other projects I was up to last year, is bringing together our community for retreats. So in the travel industry, one of the things that is a great perk of working in this sector or as a selling travel is that you get to go on what are called fam trips or familiarization trips. You get to go on these amazing experiences,
a bit of a jolly,
basically a jolly, where you get to learn about the hotel and you get to learn about the experience so that you can then sell it. So it works really well. However, what we want to create is something that is that goes deeper, basically. So kind of a continuation of our mastermind groups, but in different locations, probably with people that are already members in our community. So we're learning more about each other's experiences, which is going to help to cross promote that. So that's another benefit, I suppose, to members, is that through that community, we're really going to be helping to promote what our members are doing, and if they're in a specific destination.
So it's kind of like masterminds on tour.
Yeah.
With benefits for both the people hosting and the people attending.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, everyone's going on that kind of learning journey, which is something that's going to be a personal, possibly, well, hopefully transformational experience.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. And lots of other ideas.
Well, we look forward to continuing to stay in touch, and obviously you'll continue to be part of this group, and you can share as things evolve.
Yes.
Over time.
Yes, I
will. Thank you for sharing all of that really exciting stuff about women travel leaders and what you're doing at the moment and what's coming next. I want to just finish off with some more general questions now about your business journey, and ask you, what has been your biggest learning, do you think, so far, about yourself or about
Well,
the
the first
world,
thing that
about
comes to
business?
mind, and I'll go with that, is not overthinking. Completely guilty of that. I think I don't know if it's more of a woman thing, I'm not sure, but it's certainly something that's plagued me over the years. I suppose I'm being courageous and brave in the sense that I've gone out and I've taken risks and I've started things, and so I'm not risk averse. However, I've kind of, or it's like a mixture of like overthinking, or like I'll follow the flow and I'll go with things, and then my brain, my monkey mind, will get in the way of me moving forward, or from I suppose then I was going to say that kind of links in with confidence, and having confidence and conviction in my own desires and what I feel is the thing that I want to be doing, and not being afraid of what other people might think, or whether it's the right thing, or always looking outside for answers when within me, which is an interesting thing with why I see there being such a big value in coaching as well, because that's really about helping people to see that they do already have, that everyone is already resourceful, creative and whole. You already have all the answers within you. Having a coach can help to pull those out, and help you to gain insights more quickly, and therefore be able to like move forward.
Yeah, I love how you put that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. What else are you still keen to learn?
What else am I still keen to learn?
Yeah, or how do you still want to develop yourself?
I suppose that's something that I've always been interested in, is it kind of links in with everything like personal development and self-improvement. So I feel like I'm on a continuous learning journey. I'd like to continue to work on listening to my heart and going with my instincts and following my intuition. It's that constant thing of just being aware and noticing when I'm stepping into that kind of overthinking thing. So that, I think, is something that I will continue, and I think that's all that really matters, because that links in with what I said about looking outside for the answers rather than looking within. So I think in terms of my own personal improvement journey, it's going to be just continuing to listen to what's within.
Yeah. So where do you draw your inspiration from? Obviously you're a very intuitive person. You like to listen to yourself and be reflective, but is there anything externally that you draw inspiration from, and particularly examples of other businesses doing good in the world, or other business leaders that you look up to and admire?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I would say that anyone who has gone out there and started their own business inspires me. Anyone who's made that decision and that, that's taken that step, hats off to you, because I just think it's a really bold thing to do, and it's so easy to get caught up in the security of a job, or of like not really following your heart's desires. It's all too easy to actually just stay safe. And so I would say all of you that are in this community inspire me.
And I know that you've introduced loads of really interesting, inspiring speakers at your events over the years.
Yes, I have, and there's been some, and just
probably too many to mention.
What I was going to just mention in terms of kind of in this group and in terms of entrepreneurship, I would say, I know there are some people who are working within organisations, and one of the terms I've used is about being an intrapreneur rather than an entrepreneur. So, I guess it's people that are following it, that are in tune with their like purpose. They might not know what that is specifically, but that are driven by more than just money. I guess anyone like that does inspire me. And the people that I've had speaking at my events, the first one, I can't remember if we mentioned this, I think I did mention it last week, was Cressy from Elvis and Cressy, who has her own amazing story, and like all the different speakers that we had from her, that was like the first one to the most recent in terms of in person, which was this time, where it would have been February last year, was Leon from Beyond Food, who and the Brigade, which is a restaurant in London, and he's an interesting example actually of someone who works for a company at the moment, or charity, and he'd kind of come from near homelessness, and you know, had come from really difficult situation, and to completely turned his life around.
Wow.
Through the support of the charity as well, but it was also that kind of inner desire to be to step up and take to take on, I suppose, be a leader, right, and lots more, all of them.
Oh, well, I look forward to continuing to introduce similarly inspiring leaders to this group, and through these conversations, and introducing people to more wonderful business leaders.
There's lots out there.
There are, absolutely.
Which is very exciting.
So just to round off then, if people want to follow up with you or find out more about what you're up to, how can they get in touch?
Well, soon, very soon, we will have a new fancy website. It's not live yet, so but it will be at wtleaders.com. And for the time being, there's my website, which is redpointmentoring.com. And there's a page on there for Women Travel Leaders, and also just my kind of a bit more information about me, and also a whole page of interviews on my YouTube channel from the events that I've done here. So if anyone wants to look at more of those, they're on there.
Yeah, brilliant. A really good resource.
Yes, and on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, although I'm fairly all over the place. Not all over the place, but
easy to find. Easy to
thank you.
Contact.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you. Before we go, is there anything else you want to share?
I will just share. I was just thinking about Red Point, which was the name of my mentoring.
Yeah, we haven't really spoken about that.
No, but I just thought of it because I was thinking about the name and why I called it Red Point, and you mentioned and just in terms of around kind of failure we touched upon, but the reason that I called it that, Red Point is a climbing term. So you mentioned I'm a climber, and it's when you climb, where you have to keep you basically have to practice, and you fall, and then you go a bit higher, and then you fall again, and in the end you can put the whole climb together and without falling, and that's called a red point when you do that. And so I really like it as an analogy to business, because I feel like it's a process of constantly I was going to say
trial and error.
It's trial and error. Like you don't just go from zero to hero just like that. It's kind of what some people might, but I think generally speaking it's like it is trial and error. You have to keep tweaking and changing and practicing and refining, and it's then about being able to take that first step and being able to review it. And that's the big part of it. I think it is about being able to review it and being able to then tweak it. So one of the terms is that I learned in experiential kind of training and development at Bowles, is to plan, do, review. So that kind of experiential learning model, And I guess that's sort of what everyone does in terms of business and kind of being able to move forward. So yes, I just
interesting. So red point is sort of like a point of achievement. It's the sort of success point, is it?
It's it is. Yeah, once you've done it, it's kind of like, so there's that's
the prize. The red point is the prize.
Well, yeah. Although you've got, so just this is slightly going off on a tangent now, but just anyone who's watching who's into climbing will understand. But like in climbing, you either, if you're doing a specific type of climbing where you've got ropes and stuff, it's you have a flash, which is when you do it without, where you basically go without falling off. You go from start to finish, and you do it completely cleanly without coming off. So I guess that would be your 0 to hero overnight type of analogy. And then you've got your red point, which is basically where you go up and then you can't do a move, so you have to fall off, or you might fall off, or you have to stop and then practice it until you work it out, and then you do go a bit further and then you practice, and then so once you can get to the top, and then you'd have to come down, and eventually you do it all clean, so then you do a flash attempt. So the red point is, I guess, is the point of achievement, and in the sense of when you've really worked for it. I would say
there's been a journey to get there.
There's been a real journey to get there.
Well, and that's a really,
you go higher, and you not necessarily higher, but you can, it can be it's more of an accomplishment. You've kind of you've hit you've gone to a higher level, as it were, if you're talking about in business.
Interesting, because I'm not a climber, so I'm not familiar with that term.
No.
So I've learned something today.
Well, there you go.
And that also links back to a question that I was going to ask you at the beginning, when we were talking about your purpose and your vision and sort of what motivates and inspires you and why you do what you do. I was going to ask you back then, but I think now's a really good moment to ask you to round off what success means for you.
Okay, so I have thought about this a lot over the years, and really it comes back to the word that I mentioned earlier of ikigai, because I believe that if you can combine your natural talents with your purpose, with something you can get paid for, and your passion, that is success to me.
Great. I'm also thinking, reflecting on your explanation about red point and flash climbing, that maybe what we could take from what you just said was that, although would you call it flash climbing, or you climb in a flash?
They flashed it.
They flashed it. Okay, so
which is a cool thing,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So when you do that, although that's obviously very fun and satisfying to have that experience, that maybe there's something more powerful and more satisfying about doing a red point kind of climb. So maybe that kind of success is more satisfying in the long run, having to go through that journey of trial and error. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for your time. Thank you so much for setting up this group, bringing all these amazing speakers to our attention, sharing all of your knowledge, bringing this community together, and I'm really honoured and excited to take it on to the next stage. So thank you for handing it over to me. And I'm looking forward to staying in touch with you, watching your new venture flourish and hearing more about it when you've got the website ready to share. And obviously we can all keep in touch with you. And I'll be back here in the group very soon to announce some more exciting speakers that I'll be in conversation with over the coming weeks, and also some exciting events that I've got in the pipeline. And I will be back here in the group very soon to tell you more. So thanks again, Catherine. Thanks for listening in to today's Get Fruitful conversation. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, I invite you to give us a 5-star rating, leave a review, subscribe to the podcast, and tell your friends and colleagues to check it out too. This will help us reach a wider audience and make sure you don't miss out on future episodes. If you'd like to get in touch, connect with other like-minded people in business and continue conversations about topics discussed here, then I'd love you to come and find our community online. It's free to join us. Just search for the Get Fruitful Business for Good group over on Facebook, visit my website, getfruitfulmarketing.com, or click the links in the show notes. I'd love to hear what Business for Good means for you. Until next time, goodbye for now.